looked over and I seen Arnold Adams sitting there, and he was wearing the same shirt that I was wearing. So I walked up to him. I went right up to him and I said, "You better take that fucking Adidas shirt off, or we're gonna end up throwing hands."
What, dude?
He took the shirt off. Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your mother's favorite time. It's Wasting 10 Minutes with Big Sween. And today we got a very special guest joining us. He's one of the most important voices in BKFC today. He's interviewed everybody from John Cena to Jared the Subway guy.
I don't talk about that one anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the main man that used to have the main man, Brian Soscia.
I love that. I'm going to flip my pen for you. I'm going to catch it. That's my thing. Hey, listen, that was one of the best intros I ever heard in my life. The O'Shea's guy used to have the main, cut the main. I dig it. I'm proud to be here. You're crazy for messing with Arnold Adams. I wouldn't mess with the boogeyman. I wouldn't mess with Boomaye. You didn't know it was rolling, but I tried to one time and he almost beat me up. He took me off screen. So that's my encounter with Arnold Adams. But I'm here. I'm with the big Sween, baby. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, I have to ask right off rip, when are you bringing back that sick ass ponytail, man?
It was sick. It had like disease to it. It looked horrible. So I was growing my hair out during COVID before I got the gig. I was annoyed. I was just bored. And I was doing a radio show from my basement for a major radio corporation. And I started growing my beard. Before I'd signed with BKFC, my beard was like down to here. I was just bored. And my hair was like down to the middle of my back. When I came there, like, you got to cut your hair and shave your beard, look more professional. So I was like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I'm just doing it for fun. I did it. But I'm telling you, my hair originally was down to the middle of my back and I couldn't part with it right away. So I kept a little ponytail and I put it in a bun. And then one time I saw myself on screen. I go, you look like I don't know. I look like a little beard and like a weird hairdo. And I kind of look like almost like an adult film star director or something. And I didn't want to be seen like that. So I cut it. So I don't think it's coming back anytime soon.
What I think about it, and I know you're going to take this as a compliment, your ponytail was the most attitude era thing I've seen in the last 25 years.
You know, it's funny. That is a compliment, but I didn't even really love, I mean, I liked long hair. It was cool, but I just kind of would leave it in like a bun, like a samurai warrior. I'd put it in my hat. I never really wore it. I don't know why I even had it. I was just bored. So I appreciate that, but I would simply pull it back to be out of my face on broadcast.
All right, Brian. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll go over the rules real quick. It's going to be rapid fire, random questions coming at you from all kinds of different angles. And if you spend a little too long on an answer, you're going to hear the angry monkey sounds. All right, and shout out to Ron, the sound guy, our intern from the University of Florida, holding it down on ones and twos. How's it going, Ron? All right, Brian, you ready to get things started?
I wish I could meet Ron, the sound guy, but that's amazing. You have an intern. Yeah, I'm ready to get started. Let's go.
All right, man. Well, the first one, it's a hypothetical for you, Brian. Okay. You got Lorenzo Hunt and Arnold Adams in a bar wanting to whoop your ass. You can pick any two wrestlers in their prime to try and protect you. Who are you picking?
Well, first of all, if I'm in a bar with Lorenzo Hunt and Arnold Adams and they're ready to beat me up, I got to tell you, you're making a mistake. There'd be many more people in a bar ready to beat me up other than just them. But if I had to pick two wrestlers, I mean, this is off the top of my head right now. I have weird stuff. So any wrestler I want ever?
Yeah, in their prime.
All right, Andre the Giant, because he destroyed both of them, and I think they would know that, his power, and then he would get me really, really, really ripped, drunk afterwards. He drank like a fish.
Yep.
And I was going to say, my original thought was Mick Foley, because he's so tough, and someone like Kurt Angle. So I'll say, you know what? If I have Andre the Giant with me, and I don't think they'll get mad about this. I have a lot of respect for Lorenzo and for Arnold, but I think I would pick Andre the Giant. He would help me do the job. We could drink, and then I might pick somebody I just want to meet. I might pick like Shawn Michaels or something, just shake his hand, or Stone Cold. I'll pick Stone Cold. We could all drink together when we're done. So Stone Cold and Andre the Giant.
That's a tag team right there.
Yeah, easy ones.
All right, we'll get to the next one, Brian. I've definitely wanted to ask you about this. What was a crazier moment for you? Was it you being in the ring for the two-piece with Hector Lombard and Lorenzo Hunt, or was it when you rode Dave Feldman's back like a horse during the Mike Perry and Julian Lane brawl?
Did somebody give you that question? Somebody gave
No, that's me. That's me.
No, yes. So here's what that's a misconception. You're off with that. So what happened? What was tell me the whole question. What am I picking between those two? What's the question?
What was a crazier moment for you?
Crazier moment. Okay. The scarier moment was being in the ring next to Hector, who I've said many times, I've always gotten along with, but he goes from 0 to 100 like that. So I didn't want to catch shrapnel from any of those warriors. So I ran quick. I was out there. Oh, Jesus. There you go. That's for you.
Yeah.
And I ran away. And Joe Riggs said, why are you running? He's not going to hit you. A big thing. If you watch it's like a Zapruder film. People watch it so many times. That was the crazier moment. The reason I was, quote, riding Dave Feldman's back was because I saw something pop off and I ran over. I always want to be in the middle of it because I always want to try and either get the story, hear what's going on so I can tell you guys, or just kind of help diffuse the situation. There's actually a chair there. Nobody believes me. I stood up on the chair to kind of get it to look what was going on. Dave had me in front of me and I pointed at Julian and kind of fell on top of Dave. And then I was riding. I guess I was getting a piggyback ride. It was like, hey, if I get the president of a multi-million-dollar company to give me a piggyback ride, I feel like I'm the man.
Yeah. I mean,
the other thing went more viral, so I'm going to go with that. That was the crazier moment.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on.
It was good.
Now, next one, Brian. Your Soscia Pass have been clamoring for this for years, and we're going to get it right here today.
Uh-oh.
What's the Brian Soscia review of One Night in China?
Where are you coming up with these questions? So for those of you that don't know what One Night in China is, One Night in China is an adult film with China, the wrestler who passed away. I can't say anything bad about her now. She's dead. But, you know, it's something that I feel like any wrestling fan says, oh, I'm not watching that. They're a liar. You want to see the freak show. You want to see, I looked at the Sunny one too, a Tammy Sitch one, because it's not that not even for pleasure, just you've seen it for so many years and it wasn't all that impressive, to be honest with you. I mean, they're making their money, good for them. I'm not begrudging them, but I can tell you this. Here's what I'll tell you. One Night in China, it was probably rough. It was probably tough. I think X-Pac was in that too, wasn't he?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So you got two wrestlers in there. My review of it, I think China was more, it was bigger in more ways than one than X-Pac. But I also think that I'll tell you this really quick. I interviewed Joni China before she passed away. She actually didn't show up to an interview I was going to do. And I was very, very aware at that point she was dead because it was that bad. And we all knew that. And I spoke to her, if you can find the interview somewhere on YouTube, probably beneath the mat dot.com. And I told her flat out, I'm concerned. Are you on drugs again? And she was up and down. She wasn't. She missed it because she forgot about it or something. But then she passed away not too long after that. So what a way to bring the interview down, Brian. Let's bring it back up.
Let's bring it back up. All right. Well, let's get on a little.
Which by the way, Sween, it didn't bring it back up when I watched the One Night in China. I'll leave it there. Let's go.
That's a good one. We're gonna end it on. All right. We're gonna make it a little happier of a note. All right. Next one, Brian. You've said before in a podcast that you may or may not have been a road rager a little bit in the past. And that you may or may not have thrown some change out of your window at a vehicle. My question to you, Brian, is in this economy, are you mainly throwing pennies out the window or is there a little bit of silver in there as well?
Brother, in this economy, first of all, if that is true, if that actually did happen, I don't even remember what I say. Like when I'm done this interview, I'll forget what I even said. And then Arnold Adams will threaten to beat me up, or Lorenzo, or you, who knows? Somebody will threaten to beat me up. But I don't remember saying that, but it's funny because I remember the day that may or may not have happened. I probably was in college.
Yeah.
And I only did that. I may or may not have done that one time. It was years ago. I wouldn't do it again. I've actually channeled back my road rage because some crazy stuff's been happening. I have kids and a family now. So maybe I've grown up a little bit. I kind of muttered to myself, although I did the other day. I don't typically swear in front of my kids, and somebody did something. And I think I called them am I allowed? I'm like, I think call him an asshole or something. And
let it fly.
I don't like letting it fly, but I said that and my kid was in the back and I realized that right away, as soon as it came out of my mouth, he's in the back and I don't do that in front of my children. And I was like, you asshole. Yeah. And I started like dancing, acting like it was part of the song. And I was getting so they wouldn't pick up on it. Anyway, continue. This is my weird life.
All right. Well, follow up on that I was going to do, Brian.
No silver.
No silver. I honestly, if you're going to tell me silver, I was probably going to say Feldman was probably paying you a little too much. If you're
yeah, I mean, paying me too much. If he paid me, I wish I could throw $100 bills at them just to show that I have more money than them, but I can't do that yet. We'll do it one day. We'll all be doing it, including you, Sween, with this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. You already know it.
I'm putting you over, brother.
All right. So next question. I was going to ask you, when's the last time that Brian Soscia has opened up a can of whoop ass? But I'm going to rephrase my question right here today. When's the last time that Brian Soscia has had to use his finishing move, the moonwalk elbow?
You're really looking research up here. The moonwalk elbow was not one. It was one of my signature moves. It was not my finishing move. The moonwalk elbow was simply a back elbow. I would spin like Michael Jackson, then moonwalk like Michael, or Michael P.S. Hayes as well for the wrestling fans. My finisher, we had we had the trademark, and we had the Smarton bomb. I forget what I even called it. Basically, it was a Swanton bomb. The other one was what's called a Chetty salt. It's from one rope like this. You stand on the apron, and your turnbuckles here. You jump from this rope, you springboard to this rope, and do a backflip on the guy. So they were some of my finishers. I didn't use them quite all that often because I didn't really get the chance to. I was always looking up at the lights. And that's fine with me because every week, if you're looking up at the lights and you come back and you're still at the top of the card, that means that people want to see you get beat up. And I was a bad guy, and that was my job. And I was effective, and I kept getting booked. So I knew I did good. If you can lose all the time and people still want to see you.
Would you consider yourself a jobber?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have that title. Jobber, enhancement talent, ham and egger, as Bobby Heenan used to say.
Yeah.
Because you have to be really good to have that title. I wasn't a jobber. Like I was a quote star for the Fed I was in, but that's what I'm saying, that I could lose with my team and we could elevate other teams. We weren't coming out and getting our asses beat. It was competitive matches. And it just, we were the bad guys. That was our job to lose. So that a lot of times, and especially it was booked very old school, where the good guys would always win, the bad guys would lose at the end of a feud. So we'd come out there, we'd give a great match, we'd lose, and the fans still believed that we could win. We did really well. The chick magnets, we were called.
All right.
Before that, I was a well-hung warrior.
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring that up, but you talked about that on the Mike and Mish podcast. Shout out to the Mike and Mish podcast.
Great podcast. Love those guys.
All right. We're going to go ahead and move on. This is another hypothetical for you, Brian.
Okay. I love these.
You quit your job right now. Never walk away. Never come back to BKFC again if someone gives you $1 million cash right now.
Would I quit my job and never come back?
For $1 million cash.
I would say no immediately. The only reason I would say yes is because it would give me a lot more time with my family. With the inflation we're experiencing, I don't know if $1 million would even do much, but I see where you're going with it. So part of me would want to say yes, just to spend 100% time with my kids and all, but no. And here's why. I've had this discussion with people before, because I'm not lying. I'm not going to tell you it's not about money. Everybody wants to be successful, make money. That's how I feed my family, right? But I wouldn't walk away because it's not just about money for me. As dopey as some people may think this is, and I don't think it's dopey, it's about legacy. It's about being involved, one of the first guys in a sport and helping create that sport that's brand new. And 10 years now or 20 years from now, my kid's going, you helped create that? I'm like, yeah, I was at the desk with Dave Feldman talking about saying knuckle up, like coming up with that idea like years and years ago before we even started. So that's the cool part to me, knowing that I've had my fingerprints on this. And Sween, you do too. You're doing a podcast now. Anybody that's involved in this now has a chance to be part of this legacy of this sport being built. And that's so cool to me. We're like the pioneers of it. So no, I wouldn't leave for that reason. I don't consider this a job. They pay me to get off my couch and leave my family. When I'm there working, you've seen it. I love every second of it. Like, I'm not being paid to do this. I enjoy this. It's when I have to get up and leave my family. That's why people pay me. I've said that when I wrestled too.
That's an excellent answer. Well, on that note, you've seen a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
What was the best knockout you've seen in person? What was the most memorable knockout you've seen in person? I know it's probably a hard one for you.
Not hard. Does it have to be? Are you referring to it has to be a bare knuckle knockout, or just a knockout in general?
Just bare knuckle. Let's do bare knuckle.
Oh man, because I can tell you, I'll tell you real quick. First one that always comes to my mind. It's not bare knuckle. WrestleMania 15 in Philly. Butterbean and Bart Gunn. I was there live for it. That's sick. It's the sickest knockout I've ever seen. Also, the last appearance of Gorilla Monsoon, who got a standing ovation. I believe that was Owen Hart's last appearance in Philly too. But anyway, that's the one I always go with. Bare knuckle knockout's the sickest one. Oh, man, this is hard. There's been so many of them. I know that Joe Riggs got knockout of the year when he knocked Melvin Guillard out of the ring, but I don't think that's the best one I've seen. It's got to be. I got to go with Yuli Diaz, man, the monster. I mean, it was a record-breaking knockout. I was standing right next. I know that's cliche to say, but I was standing next to Dana Brooke from WWE, who he's engaged to. Literally standing next to her. I tell her, she almost took me out. She went so crazy. I thought the hardcore champion was going to beat me into the ground, but she wasn't. Time really, she went nuts. She was like, "Oh!" I get out of her way. Then Yuli's jumping over the top rope. I'm like, this is insanity. But that knockout was sick. I didn't expect it. Apparently, Yuli did. Apparently, Dana Brooke did. I didn't. Not that quick. So I'm going to go with that because it's one for the record books. And again, I get to be part of history that night being there live. Yeah. So I'll go with that. That's an easy one, but that's the one.
Yeah. I think
don't blink.
Anybody that was there probably would all say the same thing.
That was crazy, man. We're part of history. Again, don't blink. It's so right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my last question that I have.
Oh, this is it, man. I'm having fun. At least 10 minutes.
We got some viewer mail to come. To come. But my last question that I got. All right, take your most memorable BKFC fight that you've seen in person and
Okay.
take your most memorable pro wrestling match you've seen in person. What holds more ground for Brian Soscia?
That's hard, dude. I'm deep as an ocean. I'm not really showing you this here, but like BKFC is my livelihood now. It's how I feed my family. It's what I enjoy doing. It's what I want to be full speed ahead. It's all I care about. Like that's how I am. I'm passionate. So if you're promoting like a polka concert and I was doing that, that's what I would be doing. It wouldn't matter. I love it the most. So I'm probably going to go with something from BKFC. Plus, I feel bad because the BKFC fighters, they're out there fighting bare knuckle and they're just tearing each other up. Wrestling is a lot more on the up and up, or I should say more real than people think it is.
Right.
It hurts, but it's not bare knuckle hurt. It's different. So I feel like I'm disrespecting the bare knuckle community if I pick a wrestling match. But I'll tell you this. Here's what I'll give you. I remember being there. Man, Joe Elmore's coming up. He's fighting soon. And I remember seeing Joe Elmore versus Tom Schoaf live. It was one of my earlier live events.
I was there, BKFC 12, Daytona Beach.
That was the second one I actually worked on a show with them. My first one was BKFC 11. And think about that, being my second show live, watching that fight. Joe Elmore biting through his tongue. Joe Elmore yelling at the doctor, "Don't take this effing fight away from me," or something like that. He yelled. Tom Schoaf getting sat down constantly by Joe and just shaking his head like, I know that how's he doing this to me? What was the weight difference probably too? Yeah. Joe has never been knocked out. Joe was an absolute pleasure, as was Tom, to promote that fight. I'm closer with this kind of stuff. Like I like that for that reason. Even Joe Elmore versus Leonard Garcia, that was a great fight. And that was Leonard's retirement. But there's other great fights. Anytime Lorenzo Hunt steps in the ring, Frank Tate, Joey Beltran, that quick knockout. Not the greatest fight I ever saw, but that was, you want to talk about knockouts from before, that was pretty good. Yeah. But I'm going to go with the fight. For a long time, I've shown people that don't know bare knuckle, and it may change, was that fight. I'd show Joe Elmore and Tom Schoaf. It was bloody. It was brutal. Tom looks like an old school bare knuckle fighter, and he's a great guy, as is Joe. It's always better when I don't know both at the time, because then I feel a little easier to watch the fight for me. So I'll go with that fight. But if you're talking wrestling another way, man, I was at tons of WrestleManias. I was there when Taker lost. So like that was that when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar, an MMA guy, that was probably the craziest thing I'd been around, because that whole arena, it wasn't a real stadium, was quiet. I was in the press box. No, everybody, even people that work for WWE were like, what? It was the strangest thing I've ever been around, in my life. But I saw Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 15. That was huge at the time for wrestling. I saw Sandman's return at the ECW Arena, which was one of the loudest pops I've ever heard. I've been part of so many wrestling historical moments that I guarantee, I hate to say it, but I've probably forgotten about a couple of them.
Well, that's why I figured the question would be hard for you, honestly.
It is hard. See, I went 20 minutes on that question. It's a hard question because I've seen so many of them. It's like, you can't ask me my favorite wrestler. I Marty Jannetty. That's weird, but like, I love him. Yeah. But I love Ric Flair. I love Roddy. He's back here somewhere. Piper. There he is. He's back there. Piper.
Shout out Piper.
I love Roddy Piper. Look, there's Flying Brian Pillman. There's some of my favorites, but I go on forever. It's like picking my favorite child. It's hard to do. It's been part of me my whole life. But anyway, there's your answers. The wrestling nerds like fast forward. BKFC people are happy.
All right, Brian. Well, we're gonna get into the viewer mail right now.
I love it.
So we got a couple viewer mail. We got our first.
He's making sound effects. He's got it.
All right, we got our first viewer mail from heavyweight.
Thanks for that, Ron.
Heavyweight Art Parker. Art Parker asked Brian, hot dogs, are they tacos or sandwiches?
They're sandwiches. And I'll go one further for you, something I learned fairly recently. People make fun of me. I'm going to ask you a question, Sween. Can I do that?
I mean, we're only wasting 10 minutes.
I don't care. I'm asking you a question. Hot dogs, do you like it with ketchup or without? What do you put on your hot dogs?
With ketchup, for sure.
So I got made fun of a couple of years ago for only putting ketchup on my hot dog. And they said, like in Chicago, it's a big thing where they get mad at you for doing that. And I looked it up. Apparently, you're not supposed to put ketchup on hot dogs. I just wanted to try mustard. I tried mustard through COVID for the first time after I lost my job in radio. And let me tell you what, mustard was pretty good. But I still do occasionally put ketchup on there. But people think that's weird. They said, what are you, 10? Anyway, so I say sandwich. Go ahead. Let's move. Sorry.
Well, Art Parker says tacos. So
you're wrong. Art, you're wrong.
You may have to discuss that with Art next time you see him in person.
Next time I see him, I'm going to slap him with an Oscar Mayer wiener. Let's go. What do you got next?
Absolutely. All right, next question. Next viewer mail. All right.
I love this, Brian. Thank you.
This one comes from Benny Timms. Benny Timms asked, Brian, What is Dave Feldman packing in those pants? You know, don't even worry about that. Shout out to Ron, the sound guy, our intern from the University of Florida. He knew what was up. Don't even worry about that. We're gonna keep it moving here on.
I can answer. I want to answer. Can I answer? Let me answer it.
Whoa, you can go ahead and answer if you want.
He's packing a lot of Triller money, and I hope some of it rains down on me.
All right, we'll leave it on that note. But Benny Timms, do better.
Right. Benny Timms, what are you doing, you nut?
Next question, final question.
I wonder why Benny Timms wanted to know that. That's kind of strange, Benny.
I'm telling you.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, last question comes from Josh Burns, Big Josh Burns.
Josh Burns, I love the hammer.
He asks, Brian, which environment is more electric, pro wrestling or bare knuckle?
Ooh, Josh Burns. Good question, brother. Josh Burns, the other hammer, Mark Coleman, right? That guy's done a lot of Japanese wrestling, so he knows. I actually spoke to him about that at one show. Another hard question, man. I hate doing these cop-out answers, but if you go to WrestleMania, it's electric in another kind of way. It's insane, depending on the event. If you go to ECW Arena, where I grew up going, 2,000 people or more crammed in a little sweat box. It's insanely electric. It's the most electric thing I've ever seen. Now, if you had a bare knuckle fight at ECW Arena, which I'd love to do, which I've asked about numerous times, if you ever get legal in PA, I want to fight at the ECW Arena.
There you
go. You pack people in there. So that's the most electric building I've ever seen a sporting event in. I would say the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. It was insane. But bare knuckle, it's funny because I sometimes refer to bare knuckle when I'm trying to explain to people that don't know that are wrestling fans. I feel like we are the ECW of combat sports outside of wrestling, like UFC and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I do think it's an electric environment that I've never seen other than that's a great way to answer it. I've never seen the type of crowd or action other than at an ECW event. I didn't see it in WWE. It was a different kind of electricity. In bare knuckle fighting championship, it's just start to go. I always say it on the podcast that we do. You can't miss any fight. They're all amazing, and people are intense into it. It's electric. So the most electric building I will say is the ECW Arena, but the most electric sporting event, it probably would be a bare knuckle fighting championship event, which I would love to see in the ECW Arena because, I mean, it's so. I mean, you've heard it. You look at us. Look at us. Watch us. You hear that? Can you hear that through my mic? Mm-hmm. That does nothing. When you're there live, you hear that in person. And I thought when I saw glove boxing for the first time, I thought the jabs were insane. Like this is years when I was younger, like how much that would hurt and stuff and how the sounds it made. It's nothing. Watch bare knuckle, man. Way different. Way different.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, good question.
All right, Brian. Well, as you know, most places you waste 30 minutes to an hour on. Here, you're only 10 minutes wasted with Big Sween, okay? So we're going to have to wrap this up. Brian, I really appreciate you being the first guest.
I'm the first?
You're the first guest.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, hey, Big Sween, thank you for having me. For you, man, I wish this wasn't 10 minutes wasted. I probably went longer. I screwed it all up, but I'll tell you what, I would waste 60 minutes with you because you're a good dude. I wish you a lot of luck. And it's an honor that you're doing this because when people support bare knuckle community, they support my family. So it all kind of trickles back, because it's what I do for a living. And hopefully you can make this thing huge, man.
Absolutely. And don't apologize for going over. If we did go over 10 minutes, we're just going to blame Ron, the sound guy, our intern from the University of Florida.
Moron. He's a moron.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was his job with the monkeys. So
Ron the moron. That's what I call him now. He's Ron the moron. Moron Ron. You can't say anything back. It's great.
A little late on that one, but all right, Brian. For Big
Pick it up,
Sween,
Ron.
Ron, the intern, our intern from the University of Florida. Appreciate you, Brian.
Thanks, brother.